All right, let's start with the session. So this is a live webinar going on. So if there is any questions, please do write in the chat box. I'll be continuously monitoring them and will try to answer them as and when possible. So yeah, today's agenda for the whole call is that for the whole webinar is that we'll first understand what Express is, then we'll have an end-zone session and try understanding what REST APIs are, uh, build simple REST APIs. Then we'll take a look at a socket.io library and build a minimal chat app. At the end of the session, we'll also give some resources and some homework to do. So could be done as the extra assignment. So certain tools that I'll be using, certain tools and technologies that I'll be using are Node, NPM, Visual Studio Code, and Postman. You should have Node and NPM installed to code alongside. If there is anything, if you have any other text editor apart from Visual Studio Code, that is also fine. Postman is preferable for we'll use it to test the API. So if not, just install it while we are taking the session ahead alongside. Shouldn't take a lot of time. It's simple. Directly download the file and install it. So these are the tools that we'll be using. Yeah. So before we start off, like everyone would ask what is Express and what is the purpose of it. So Express is a fast and unopinionated minimalistic web framework for Node. That is according to their official documentation, what they tell. Uh, what exactly is unopinionated? So if there are certain frameworks like Rails, Django, and all of them have opinions or what you call certain things on how things should be done. Like they say the Rails way and all those things. Whereas in Express, it's unopinionated is you as a developer has the full freedom to develop your application however you want, write your code in whatever way you want. So that is a benefit as a framework that you as a developer have all the capacity and all the control over the code how you want to keep it, so you don't have to follow certain standards of that, okay, this is how we do or this is how we do. So yeah, that is it. And minimalistic, I think minimalistic and fast are things that we'll understand as we go ahead. So certain things about that Express is a backend or a server side framework. So please do not compare it with any of the front end frameworks like React or Angular or any other. It's strictly a backend framework and used for backend. You can use it to connect with. You can use it with React and Angular and all those things to make a more what do you call full stack web application. So yeah, that is about Express. So JavaScript is filled with frameworks. So everyone would ask that, do we really need a new framework? So the answer is that anyone won't simply create a new framework. There are certain reasons on why a new framework is created and benefits of it. So the reasons, the what are the why do we use Express and what are the benefits of it? So we'll use Express to build web applications with Node.js much faster. If you know Node, you know that when you are coding the APIs in Node, it gets pretty long and a lot of things are there to write. We'll explore more in the next slide. So with Express, it gives a lot of things, what you call abstraction over a lot of complicated things that Node has to do. So that way it becomes very easy to build with it. And it is pretty light and extremely fast. Certain thing that Express has is that it gives us a routing framework. So you can route your APIs however you want. And just like how Rails or Django or any other Rails has certain templating engines, Express also has templating engines. So you can render your data directly from the database and push it to the templating engines and use it as a in the HTML pages. So it could be dynamically also used. So yeah, these are certain things about Express, and some more things we'll explore more in the next slide. So those who know Node, this is a simple comparison between what Express a basic server with Express is and what basic server with Node is. So if you see Node part, it gets pretty, what do you call, a lot of if statements and a lot of ambiguity, a lot of complex things in it, whereas Express is pretty simple, straightforward. So a simple route like the rule the home route is just that with slash sign you could just do rest.send, whereas in Node you'll have to check that the request method is get, then check the endpoint and then send the request. So pretty simple, why we tell minimalistic and easier to create with Express. So this is one of the basic syntax on why Express is better than Node, as in why to use Express with Node alongside. Express also gives us middlewares. So middlewares are functions that functions or pieces of code that have access to users' request, application response, and the next middleware to be used. So whenever a request is what you call streamed by the user, it will come with the it will pass through this middlewares and pass. So how could we use this middlewares? We'll cover when we are coding the REST APIs, but this middlewares will help you to create certain things very easy. For example, let's say you have a logging function and it is a middleware. So whenever your request passes through this middleware, it it is bound to log everything. So you don't have to change anything. Now let's say there are certain logs that you want to change or the way you are logging it you want to change. So you don't need to go and modify in each of the application, each of the functions that you have created. You can directly just change this middleware function and call the next middleware function to be used. So yeah, that is something which is pretty good with Express and has good control over it. So does anyone have any doubt over here? If not, we can directly go to build the REST API directly. That was a brief intro of it Express. We don't have anything more to add to that. So we'll directly go and build some APIs with Express for better clarity. Okay. Uh, I'm assuming it's everyone is fine with it. So I've opened Visual Studio Code and I have a folder named Express Basics where I'll be creating the application. So yeah, everyone who is coding alongside, please open the same, open any particular folder in your application. And if you are using any simple text editor, just use npm, just use the terminal. If you are using an IDE, you can use the integrated terminal. I'm using Visual Studio Code terminal because it gets easier to code with this. All right, so yeah, this is the simple folder we have. And to create a simple web application or a Node.js application, we'll just do npm init. I hope it is visible. So yeah, just npm init. So npm init, when we do, it creates the package.json file and it is asking us for certain things. I'll keep the package name as Express Basics only. That's the name of the folder. Version 1.0, description, basic uh, Express application. Entry point is the what you call the code where which it runs first. So that is the index.js. We'll keep it as that. Test command, press enter. No need to do. No git repository keywords. Author, you can put your name. I'm putting my name for now. So it asks us if it is okay, and it does seem okay. So I'll just create yes and enter it. So yeah, it creates this simple package.json file. And since the entry point was index.js, I'll create a index.js file to it. Now, all those who witness the code, to initialize Express, we need to install what you call Express. So to install Express, we'll just do npm I is for install, a short command for it. So Express. When we do this, it will automatically add. If there are any doubts, just put in the chat box and I'll try to answer. If not, please code alongside so that if there is any doubt, we can do it together only. So yeah, Express is installed, and if you notice the version in the package.json, it is 4.17.1. So that's the Express 4 version. Okay, so let's create the simple server with Express. So to do that, we'll first do Express require and call the Express module that we have installed. To initialize it, we have to do const app equals to Express, the simple code, a simple basic API to create a application, and then just app.listen the port number we want. So we'll just add a port also. Port equals to 3000 port, and then we do a callback. So callback can be done in two ways. I will use the echo function. So certain people do it this way, but I particularly like using function, so I'll use this function. Yeah, we'll just do a console.log that yeah, the server is running. So server running on port 3000. Yeah, that is it. To start, we'll just do a node index dot. So we'll just test that the server is running fine. So I just did node index.js, and yeah, it says cannot get, because we have not defined any routes yet. So that's why it's that. So this is the simple server. Now we'll just create a simple route. So a simple route with this, and then use function and response.send. So with Express, you can just send it this way. So since I have changed the code, we are starting the server now, and on port it says hello world now, right? So one thing, when we have to restart it every time, so I'll just install nodemon. Nodemon is refreshes the server code whatever we do automatically. So we'll use nodemon here to speed up the development, and we don't have to restart every time. So I did npm I nodemon. It takes some time to install. So till then, we'll just write off some more. Okay, till then we'll just explain what middlewares are. So middleware is something that, as we told, that it should pass through the request and as well as through the response. If you remember the previous diagram which was used. So let's create a logger function only. So let's write const logger equals to a simple function request response next. So one thing to notice here is that for each middleware, there should be a next function. The next function is basically needed to tell it that this code is run, or this particular middleware function is run. Now, please go on to the next one. So we'll just do console.log that logger logged. You can put whatever you want here as such. And Okay, so now we have defined the function, but how do we use it? So pretty simple, just do app.use logger. So it will directly use the logger function. So okay, till then nodemon is also installed. So we check package.json. The nodemon function is there. We can add the script to run here. So npm run dev. We do nodemon index. So we can do npm run dev. So yeah, it is running on code. Port 3000 nodemon is running. So a small change, let's for example, let's do change this to double quotes, add exclamation marks and save it. So it will automatically refresh the code on the browser. One second. Oh yeah, it's not because we have not called the next function here. So just call the next and it will run. So yeah, this is hello world. So two exclamations are there. Now if I do three exclamations and save it, it automatically shows. So yeah, that's how Nodeman is used. So prefer using Nodeman to speed up your development also. So yeah, this is a basic route which we created. So we'll create simple REST APIs with all of this. So this get is basically the get HTTP verb that we use. So we'll create more with app.post for post, app.put for updating, and app.delete for deleting the APIs. So this all APIs will write. So let's do a simple to-do app only. So I'm first creating a task.js. The tasks basically have this things called, it's basically a JSON for us to use this particular data. We'll keep one ID, we'll keep the title, and we'll keep one status whether it's done or not done. So I'll just create some more. If there's any doubt anywhere, just let us know in the comments and we'll do it alongside only. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them are done. We'll keep one as ongoing and title will keep as just random SMP, competitive programming, SMP, competitive programming. One more title, academics, and fourth one as read a novel. Okay, so these are the tasks we have done. So to import these tasks to the index.js, we'll use the module.export. So export this task there, and you can call the task here. So const task equals to require tasks. Okay, so the tasks are here. Now we want to create a simple API of to ensure that all these tasks are visible. So app.get API slash tasks. This is the API where it is called. So if you see, we have a lot of freedom on what we want to keep the API routers. So just do this and function request comma response and just send all the complete body. So I'll just send all the tasks. So if I refresh it, I have API slash tasks. So yeah, this is all the tasks which are available. Simple API to clear. And something which I forgot to mention, see logger logged. So it uses this logger function every time it is being called. You can modify this logger function to actually write to the files, like we use the fs file. We can use the fs module in Node to log it to the file also. So you can modify this logger function however you want. Okay, now you might be thinking that why do you keep this here only? Why not create in a separate file to modify it? So let's just do it. We'll create a new middlewares folder. In this middleware, we'll just create a new file, logger.js. We'll keep just clear this code and keep it here. So again, same thing. If you are writing it here, just export it. So module.exports equals to logger, the name of the function, and in index, just call it. So const logger equals to require, we have middleware slash logger. So yeah, that should be it because we are using app.use. And let's just try once. So yeah, it's called, and yeah, the logger is called. So you could create any number of middlewares in this and keep on using the logger however you want. So one good thing is that with Express is that you can also mention uh, what you call custom loggers for particular API. So let's say you have certain API which is more user and you want something else also to do. You can keep a logger to function here. So this way, this function will be log with logger2. It is saying crash because we do not have the logger2 function yet. So I'll just create simple logger2 equals to function, just fastly created, and just console.log logger2. Okay. So now if I call API tasks, okay, same thing. I have not called next here, so it will just go into infinite loop. So make sure you call the next here after each function. So yeah, we have called and it calls the logger too also. So you can create custom middlewares for each of the function. So how could this middlewares be used is that if your function requires some authentication before a particular API, so you could use this logger to check that, you could use any middleware function to check that, okay, this API is getting created or not. So to whether the app access is there for that particular API or not. So yeah, we created this simple app dot get API task to create this tasks to send all the tasks to it. Same doubt you will be having that why not create separate folders for each of the APIs. So that's where the routing thing comes in of Express, where we get the functionality of router in it. So we'll just create a new folder and let's name it as routes only. So you could create new routes for it. Sorry, not in the middlewares folder. We'll create in the root directory only. Yeah. Create a new file, task underscore API.js. Okay, so here just copy this whole app.get API tasks. So now that we've done it here, we need to call Express here also. So Express wants to require Express. Uh, Now, how do we use routers is that you should call the router function of Express. So you'll just call router. So router equals to this express dot router. Please note that R is capital here. Yeah, and now since it's a router is the main function here, instead of app, you will use router here. So we'll just do exports equals to router. So now the whatever APIs come here will come directly here. But you can see that currently this particular index.js is not calling the task API as such anywhere. So we'll just call that file also. So tasks underscore API equals to require is same, just call that file routes and you have task API. So as everything is in middleware's format, just do app.use tasks API. So that way you can directly use, oh, sorry, but you need to mention the API also, what API you want it to be called at. Okay, it is still crashing. Let's see what the, okay, logger2 is not defined. Okay, so we'll just remove from logger2 and yeah, it's running now. So if you notice now that slash API slash tasks are calling task API and as a router using the all our requests to mention slash API task. So if we see this currently, we cannot get it because that route is now API slash task API. We'll just remove this whole thing and keep it this way. So, okay, we have an error that task is not defined. Right, so task is not defined because we need to call the, so our index had this tasks here. So we need to call this task, which is getting all the variables as such. So we'll just remove it from here and directly keep it here. But yeah, the folder has changed. So we'll just do dot dot instead of dot and call it. This should work, I think. Yes, this works. So this is a simple get API which we have used right now. So with that, we are getting all the things. Now, obviously, we want to create more functionalities to it. So let's just create a new router with, uh, now we'll create more APIs, get, post, put, and delete as such. Uh, okay, the screen is gone. One second. Sorry for the interrupt. Yeah, so yeah, it is back. So we'll create get, post, put, and delete as well. Here, get is directly getting us all the, what do you call? Get is getting us all the file, all the tasks which we have created. Instead, we want only one particular task. So we'll just route it to have a ID, and same thing, we'll create a function, a callback function, what we call actually in Express terms. So we have this ID, and with this ID, try to find the particular task and send it as a response. So, but before, I think you'll want to see that how this is working. So to access this particular ID, we can use request.params.id, which will get us. So let's just try off once with one. So yeah, it sends us one if it is visible properly. So it sends us one. So this is how you access the ID of the parameter which is passed. So let's just write the code to find the tasks for it. So we'll use the basic JavaScript code that if it is find. So since task is a, what do you call, array of JSON, we'll do task.find. Just one second, I think the screen is again going. fine now. Yeah. So here we were that we were showing that one particular API can run route with get slash ID slash Bing. So we first did a test of request dot parameter ID. So this is how we access the particular params which are passed to us. You can to create multiple. You can also do like this dot ID2, and you can put a console.log here and send request dot params dot id to, right. So if I do two, so it logs two. So you can put n number of arguments that you pointers you want with this particular. We only need one, so we'll just keep id and remove the rest of it. So this extremely sorry for the interrupt that is happening. I'm not sure why it is happening. So yeah, the screen is visible now. So I'll just go ahead with the session. So yeah, we are doing a we are trying to find out the particular ID in the task list which we have. So tasks.find, we are iterating over all the tasks and matching the ID. So we are checking if the ID in the task in this particular thing which matches. So we'll just use request.params.id as we did earlier. We'll just keep it here, otherwise we don't, the function won't be executed. So if I do this, oh sorry, yeah, if you find it out, then you need to just rest dot send found. So it is not giving us anything, it is giving blank. So the reason is because we are using triple equals to, so it should match with the type of the ID or type which is passed also. Here request.params.id is actually a string and you're comparing with an integer, so it's not working. So we'll just use the parse int function to parse the string uh, into a what do you call integer and finally try it. So yeah, this is how we got the API. So we have found the particular IP and you can use two also, whichever you want. So a better way to do it is just to if found, we're trying to write a good API. So if we find it, so we just send it. Else in the response, we do send the status as 404 because it is not found, and the response should be a JSON. So we'll just write a message that this is the message that uh, task not found. Okay, maybe we can use a backtick. So ensure task not found with id id request dot params dot id. Yeah, so this should be it. And let's say if we enter 55, yeah, so it shows us task not found with id 55. So this is a simple get request which we have run to get a particular task. So now we can create a post request. So here, as I mentioned, post is the HTTP verb that we want. We are keeping the route as same because that's what the on the same route we are sending both get and post request. Get is this, uh, this, and on this we want to send a post. So as you can notice, post is basically you want to create a new task. So that's why we'll use post. So I'll just write comment that create a new task. So simply what do we do is we'll define a new variable, and this new variable should be a what do you call object in JavaScript. Now what all are the things that we have mentioned are id, title. So we have mentioned id, one second. Yeah, so we have mentioned id, title, and status. So we need the id, we need the title, and we need the status. So how do we get the id? So we'll just do tasks dot length, sorry, length, and increment it by 1 because we want to add it at the end only. And title will be request dot body dot title, and similarly status will be request dot body dot status. So I think before we go on to this, let's just comment it out and see how exactly things work. So in the response.json, we'll just send the request.body to just to get an idea of how the body is coming to us. So I'm opening Postman here, creating a new API. So this is a post request, and the URL is http localhost task slash API. That's the URL that we have. The yeah, the body is raw, and we are using JSON. So JSON, and let's enter ID 1. Okay, we don't need the ID, so we just need the title. Let's keep the title as new laptop and status as ongoing, right? And we try to send it. So it told us it's an error. Let's see what the error is. So it is still telling it cannot. Oh, sorry. It is API slash tasks. Sorry. So we try to send it, but we are not getting anything as the response. So the reason is because there should be a body parser that whatever request comes, it directly cannot parse the data. So we need to use a body parser that whatever comes, you understand that it is coming in the JSON format. So we'll just write this simple in the index.js that app.use express.json. This way it will know that whatever requests are coming to it, please know that it is in the JSON format and parse it. Otherwise it doesn't know how to parse it. So I'll just write a body parser middleware. as this is the body parser middleware. And then if we try to send it, so yeah, it is now sending us the title and status properly. Okay, so this is what it is doing, but now we need to actually create the uh, task. So I'll uncomment this. We should keep a check of all that. Okay, you're only sending the title and status, and all the other things should be discarded, but you can do it as a further task. But for here, this is how you do it. So I'll just keep a small check that if the new task dot title does not exist, or let's say the status does not exist, then just return that okay, your data is wrong, so we are sending a 400 request, and just send the JSON message saying okay, message, and please include title and status. Sorry. So yeah, this is how we do. Or if it is passing through it, that means that it is done. So you just push into the task that okay, this is a new task that is going to be created. Create the new task and just send the response as all the task. So that on the front on the postman side, we'll come to know that all the tasks are getting created. So I'm sending this request. Okay, but if it's still sending, let's just debug. Oh, here, 21st line we are sending, so it needs to have, so it's stopping there only and not going further. So I just commented 21st line and sending again. So yeah, if you see here, it is sending us all the tasks, and the fifth ID of new laptop and ongoing is added. So just to note here that all of this should actually be using a database. So you should have a MongoDB or something similar database. But here we are just trying to, what do you call, simulate something and understand how APIs work and how actually it should be done. So instead, if you had a MongoDB database, you will do task.push new task and do just some tasks dot save, and that would save in the database. But here we are just doing it for a simulation, so that's why let's just keep it this way. So this is the post request that we created. Now let's, how do we update a request? So updating a task basically. So it should be again router.put, but you won't update all the tasks at once. You just update one of it, right? So you'll pass the ID which you want to update and just do a function request.response, and here will come the logic. Now let's understand this first. So if you want to update a particular task, what will you need to do? You'll need to find that this task actually exists in the particular database or in the particular array which we have, and if it is existing, then only you update it, right? That should be the simple logic of how you update it. So what should be our first step is we should first find out what we want, whether this particular ID exists in the this particular ID exists in the, what do you call, in the area which we have. So I'm just copying from this get that const found equals to. So only if it is found, then only I'll do something and update it. Otherwise, I'll just send a response that rest.status 400, just copying it from here, that sorry, we the task does not, sorry, does not exist. The task does not exist, right? But what do we do if it is found? So let's just first test whether this not found is working properly. So I'll open postman again. I'll change this request to put and keep this as 7 because that does not exist. In the data, I'll keep it as it is and check. Yeah, so it messaged me that yeah, the task does not exist because 7 does not exist, right? So this logic is working. Now let's do for the found thing. So we have found out the task already. So we'll just simply uh, try to update it. So if you sorry, if you do a rest.send task, sorry, found, if we are updating the first task and we send it, then it is sending the ID, title, and SMP status. So how do we update is that we just do found dot title. You want to update the title to what? Request dot body, right? That is what the body has come, and dot title, and update the found dot, what do you call, status, as what has come in the status, and finally send the found thing. But if you notice that it is possible that one would want to update only a title or only a status. So we should keep a ternary operator and keep a, what do you call, check that if the what do you call, if this request.body.title exists, then update it. Otherwise, just keep it as found.title so that it does not update it. Right. This is the simple ternary operator. I hope everyone got the idea why we are doing this. So basically, our aim is that it should not send anything. It should not update both of them. Like someone would want to update only one particular element, let's say the status only. For example, if I'm building a to-do app and I have to mark it as done, I won't send the entire body because that will increase the payload in the bandwidth, payload in the request which we are sending. So we'll just send one particular thing. So that's how we are checking that update only if that also exists. And if it is not existing, then just don't update it. So we just send it. So let's check whether it is working. So yeah, if you see, it updated to new laptop ongoing. But if you actually do get, you'll come to know that originally it was something. uh yeah, if you do the first response, it was actually SMP done. So that's how you build a simple put request. If anyone has any doubts, just put on the chat box and I'll just answer it. So this is how you build a basic update thing. And let's say if you want to send any other separate message also with it, just create a new thing. And with the message, just mention that task is updated and pass the found to it. So if I'm doing a put and update it to new laptop ongoing, see, it shows message as task updated and found as this, as in the, as in the what do you call, the status is updated to this. So now quickly let's build a delete request also. So if we want to delete the particular task, someone will want to delete one particular task also. So function request comma response, and simply again to delete also we need to find whether the task exists or not. So I'll be doing a bit different logic to just show the use of how JavaScript actually works and how different functions can be used different places. So let's do a const found and use the dot sum function. So sum function returns whether, or boolean, whether the particular task exists or not. So I'm iterating over all the task and finding that if that particular task exists or not. So I'll come to know that this particular task exists. And if I have found that particular task, that means I have to delete it. Else just I'll send a response that, okay, I do not have the task. So I'll just send a 404 instead of a 400 request. I'll send a 404 that this task does not exist. But if it is found, how you send? So I'll just do rest.json and tell them that, okay, my task is getting deleted. So I have the task deleted and we want to remove the task. So if everyone remembers the filter function in JavaScript, it can directly give us certain values whichever we want. So let's just use task.filter and just send. Again, filter would pass us all the, iterate over all the tasks and give us this particular parse and require.params.id. So yeah, this is a filter function which we have written, right? So there was a small error. This would give us the task which is matching this particular ID. Now let's say if I don't want this particular ID, so I'll just do a not equal to. So that way I'll get this particular task deleted. This is not the actual logic which you'll implement in the database, but this is how a basic CRUD operations can be built. So yeah, this is a simple example. So I'll just show delete. We don't need to pass any body or anything. So just none and sending the delete request. So yeah, it shows that the task is deleted and it is sending one, except for 1, 2, 3, 4, it is what has sent. Now let's say if I want to delete the fourth request, it will send me 1, 2, 3. Please notice that this is not actually getting deleted in the database. That's why it is still giving us first values and all those things. But if we actually delete, it will be deleted. And let's say if I enter something like 7, it will show us that the task does not exist. So yeah, this was a simple, very simple way to make a REST APIs. All of this are all the HTTP words that are used mostly in common, that we have a get request, we have a post request, we have a post put request, and we have a delete request, and all of them are implemented. So does anyone have any doubt here in any of this? How this was built, how middlewares are used, and how the port is running and all those things? If there are not any doubts, we can move further. Uh, Please write in the comments if you do not have any doubts, and if you have any doubt, just let me know again. Otherwise, we'll be going ahead to the socket part. Can everyone just write no doubts or anything if you do not have any doubt? Is everyone able to follow that this is how you build, and did anyone face any issues while building? Okay. Anyways, all right. So yeah, this is how we explained how to create a Express app. A lot of functionalities explained on how to create all the CRUD operations. If anyone has any doubt, just let me know after the session or during the session, anything. Just comment it and I'll try to answer it right now. Okay. So that's why I feel that Express is much better than Node, and a lot of easy things are there. We cannot compare as such Express and Node because Express is built on Node. So yeah, but it gives a lot of functionality. So this is what it is. So now let's go on to building the chat application that we had planned. So before we go on to the basics of building the actual application, let's just find out what socket.io library is and how can we use it. So with sockets we can actually do a lot of things uh, in actual programming and building a lot of different kinds of applications. So why do we need sockets as such? So there are two reasons. There are a lot of reasons on how we can use sockets. So main reason is for real-time communication. So if you see real-time communication, it can be done with two ways, with polling as well as with WebSockets. So polling is where you constantly poll the particular, what do you call, the server, like keep on requesting that continuous request, like while how we write a while loop, like it constantly keeps on running. So that way we can do polling and get the data every time or every second. Or the other option is to use WebSockets. So why do we use WebSockets and not polling? So polling, the main reason is that since your server, your client is constantly requesting for the data, it will consume the server threads and the bandwidth. Imagine your data constantly polling the server. So it consumes a lot of data, right? Consumes a lot of bandwidth. So that's why we don't prefer polling in all cases. Sometimes polling might be better, but WebSockets are usually preferred in such cases. So why do we use WebSockets as such? So WebSockets provides us a, what do you call, a bidirectional communication. So if you understand bidirectional, it is where the client also responds to the server and server also responds to the client. So it's a two-way connection. Full duplex communications is what we say as both of them can send data to each other. uh, certain what do you call, certain things are only one side. That time only communication can be from the server to the client, but here the communication is both sides. So it's a full duplex connection communication, and it happens over a TCP connection only. And this is just some basics not really needed for building the chat application. So it is run over the TCP ports 80 and 443. So yeah, that's about WebSockets basics. Now, socket.io library, why exactly it is and what exactly it is. So there is still a lot of stuff with WebSockets, but we are just covering basics of sockets. So WebSockets, so not going into the depth. So if we see socket.io library, it is built on on the WebSockets concept, and it enables us to do real-time bidirectional event-based communication. So event-based communication is when, if you remember Node.js, whenever it is called, for example, if you do dot on and write the request, that's what event-based communication is. That's what socket.io also is. We'll explore more while we are coding the chat application. And it works on every platform, browser and device, focusing on reliability and speed. This is directly taken from the, what do you call, directly taken from the documentation only. So certain sockets do not work from all platforms, and they only worked on browsers on certain devices. But socket.io library is pretty famous and works everywhere with all platforms device. So it's pretty much famous and much better. And how can we leverage socket.io library? So it can be used for real-time analytics, streaming, instant messaging, and chat, as well as for documents collaboration. So if all of you remember why we use Node.js or in what conditions Node is preferred over any other framework, is where we want real-time communications. That's when we use, or that's when we prefer Node actually. So that's the reason why we are covering chat application today specifically. Streaming can be used, and for documents collaboration, basically to build something like Google Docs or something. So that's when we could use socket.io library. So yeah, let's just dive into the code of this. So if everyone can just go to this particular uh, link, I'm putting the link here. So yeah, please go to this link and clone this application. So since a chat app will require a lot of things to be done actually, certain boilerplate code is already added, like simple CSS and JavaScripts, which will be needed, and a basic server of Express is already added. So you can directly use it. So yeah, that's what I'll also be coding from there only and not something different. So yeah, I'm also shit. I'll also clone the application till then. So certain everyone, if you remember what a chat application is, that we build a chat application is basically use uh, will add certain features like uh, when a user joins, it notifies that this user has joined, and when a message is sent, this particular message information is gone. So that those all things will try, and certain things will try after in the as a homework kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, this application is downloaded. I just open the folder. Chat application is the folder that I'm using. So if you notice the current code which is there, it's pretty simple, that it only has the express code that we have already covered. And yeah, we want to start it. So we'll just do npm I. So it will just install all the node modules which are required for it. It's basically equivalent to npm install, what we call. So yeah, one thing which I forgot to mention in the express part was this app.use static. So if you remember all the APIs which we did, all of them were just sending the JSON response, but we can actually send the directory also. For example, here we can directly use the public directory to send all the responses. So I'll just create one and just show you. So I've used this right. So let's say if I create a new about.html. Oh, and let's say I start it. So it's listening right now on the port. And if I do about.html, it shows about, right? So you can actually, what do you call, make the use of static folders. This can also be used to send JS, JavaScripts, or CSS or images to uncertain URL. You can also use something like this. So app.use and slash media, and send all the media responses on this query. So you can access all the media resources on this particular slash media. Not the point now, but let's say if you have built something and all, it requires a lot of images, you can directly serve your images through this particular URL. So these are certain things that can be done with Express and pretty good that way. So yeah, I'll just install nodemon here also. You could also do npm I nodemon to install nodemon in this particular application. Nodemon is preferred just so that we can refresh the changes immediately. So that's why we are specifically doing this. Okay, so it is installed. So let's do nodemon index.js. So it's listening on port. So if you see here currently, if you enter any username or anything, nothing is happening because the functionality is not existing. This is just some user base or just some code which was already existing, so that it becomes easier for us in the session. So I'll just walk you through the code that is already existing. We have called the chat.css for the thing, and we are using jQuery. So we have called the jQuery and the socket CDN. So since it's a bidirectional communication, connection should happen from the client. Client is the HTML page, and the server, that is our backend which is happening. So we need a bidirectional communication. So that's the reason why we are importing socket.io here also. And then we have a JS of chat.js. So it has certain So since it's a bidirectional communication, the socket should communicate with the backend, and we'll write certain code here and write it off here. And if you see, there are two pages which are there. There's a chat page, which actually where the chat will happen, and a login page. Very simple HTML code, so should be very easy for you to understand. This is where the login pages are here, where we are entering the username, and yeah, that is it. About the chat.js, the JavaScript file which we have, certain variables are initialized. We have used a fade time for better, what do you call, better graphics or animations. That's why we have used this. And certain variables like input message, login page to get the login page and chat page. This the username which we want the user to be input. And this focus is done so that, let's say if you refresh it, the focus is directly on this particular username. So on that particular, that's why it's used focus. We have two username or two functions, that username send message, which are still pending to be done. That will do soon. Log message is, so if you have seen WhatsApp, how does it work? That when someone joins the chat, it shows that XYZ added to the chat. So this log is used for that. And add chat message. And if someone adds a chat message, it shows their uh, in the side. So this is what add chat message does. It's very simple, basic JavaScript code that it adds a class log and the message that we want to add. So we'll just use this, leverage this to make things faster and do it soon. Similarly, add chat message is to add a particular chat message that we want to add. So log is which shows in the middle and chat is which shows in the side. We'll just do it as we do it. This is a element. Certain things like sometimes it needs to be prepended and sometimes it needs to be appended. So prepend is when your tree is like this and you want to prepend to the child before it, and append is where you want to append it below. So certain things like that are mentioned here. For this is all CSS which is done. And our chat will be like, there's no enter or submit key here, right? So we are using the enter and all those keys which are there with us. So that's why we are using the key down functionality. Just 1 second. Yeah. So this is what the, yeah, and 13 is the enter key. So if the username exists, then it should actually send message. Otherwise, just set the username. So that is the simple logic which we have. And so yeah, this is all the code which we have. And index.js, if we see, it's a basic, very simple server which is used to for Express. So let's get started on actually building functionalities and adding things to it. So I'm quitting the application and installing. So I'll install the socket.io library first. So just do npm I socket.io. As soon as you do it, it should get added in the package.json. So yeah, it has got added to the JSON, and I'll just do node-man index.js. So to start the server. So now with any module which we have, your first step is always to import the library. So we'll just do const socket io equals to require, sorry. So one thing to notice here is that with socket.io, the thing is it doesn't directly work with Express. So you need to create so our socket app will run and the Express app will run below it. So you just understand how. So we'll just import HTTP also to create the server. We did not use it for Express because because Express already uses HTTP below, but for socket we'll have to use it as such. So we'll just create a server. Const server equals to, how do you create a server? If you remember, HTTP just create server and the app. So app is Express only, but this is how you create the server. And since we want the, what do you call, IO is what each connection will be. So that's how we come to know IO is what you call since it's an event-based communication, IO is something which will help us know the event. So that is what IO is used for. And server is where we have created the server. So just simple small change would be that instead of app.listen, we'll just do server.listen. So server.listen on port this. And if you refresh it, it will still work as it is. So now let's do a simple let's write a simple socket. I'll just write below this. So initialize a socket. If you do io dot on, so how do you know that it's a connection? So if anyone remembers Node.js also we do dot on to know the kind of uh, event which is there. So whenever there's an event of connection, just create a socket for us. So again, certain people use arrow-based communication or arrow-based syntax. I prefer this, so that's why we have written this. So let's see if this on connection actually user joined. So this is what will happen, right? If anyone has joined the our server, it should show a user has joined. So let's just refresh it. And it one second. It should have shown that a user has joined. One second. As our socket work properly. So yeah, we require the socket.io, and then on the connection that is initialized, just to a socket. Oh, right. We have done it here, but there is no communication from the front end that okay, there is anything created as such. So we'll have to what do you call? We'll have to create a socket function here also. So let's just do this simple. Like since there's no communication from the front end that okay your socket is communicated, that's why we're not seeing the log. So if I do this and refresh it, this should work. Yeah, a user has joined. So yeah, it was not working before because there was no communication from the front that okay your socket is created. That's why. Yeah, I also got confused, but yeah, that's how things are. Then that's how you program. So yeah, a user has joined now. Okay. So now first let's do this set username. So what should happen when a username is set, right? So we have to get this value of input. So let's just get the input first. So username is the value which we have, and this is the input where dollar username. So we are using basic jQuery. So dollar username input dot value. This gives us the value of the user which has joined. And now if the username, so we want to check that blank username does not enter. So only if the username is actually there, then only we want the user to be added. So okay, so there are two ways how you. So there are since it's a bidirectional communication, you need to mention to the server that okay, a new something has happened, or event has occurred, and the server also responds that okay, an event we need to respond it. So how do you inform the server? So you use the emit function, something to learn. So socket.emit. Emit is okay, emit to the server that something is happening. So what is happening and the data that you want. This is the syntax that you pass. So this is how you inform the server that okay, someone has joined and this is the data that you want to pass. So here it's simple that the user has joined. So we pass the username. Now emit. So what do we want to emit? That user has added. So add user. You can write anything that you want here, but whatever you write here should be same at the server side. So user has added. So now let's write a simple uh, function here to know that which user has joined. So currently, if you see, the username is entered here, but how do we know that at the back that okay, this is happening? So that is with the socket function. So connection is initialized, but this function socket is what we'll use to know that any event is occurring, right? So socket dot on, same on is to know that an event is occurring. So whenever the event is add user, same value as that, just compare it, right? And same again the user, what do you call, callback, and write the username. We know that the data will be username, so we want the username. So let's just do a console.log username, right? So I'm passing it and entering mi. I'm getting mi as the value, right? So this is simple how we are trying to know that okay, the user has entered. So we got the username here. Okay, but what will you do with this user, right? So we need to, since we want the message to be emitted that okay, this user has joined, so we'll just used socket. So we are updating the value in the socket only to avoid any ambiguities or avoid anything else. So we'll just update the value that one second, yeah. So this username has joined. Now we want to emit this. See, understand the flow from front client, we were emitting to the backend. Now backend has to emit to the front end that okay, your user has joined and we have got the request. So socket dot emit, right? There are, but if you see, if you just do emit, it will emit to everyone. But if you do broadcast, sorry, if you do just emit, it will emit to this user only. But if you do broadcast.emit, it will emit to everybody except for this user. So what is that thing that we have got at the backend? So any value that we want to keep here. So let's say we have got that user has joined. So we'll write user has joined, and in the response we'll just mention that the username that we have got is socket.username. That's it. So just to clarify again, uh, socket.emit will only emit to the client which is there currently joined. Socket dot broadcast.emit will emit to everyone except for the client. And if you do io.emit, it will emit to everyone uh, on the system which we have. So these are the three functions, just note it properly, right? So this is what. So now if you see here, front end from the back end, we are emitting to the user that okay, the user joined is what we have understood. So on the front end, let's just write a small function to know that okay, we know that you have got the user, and how do you do it. So I'm writing it here at the end only. So socket dot on, everything is event based, so always use on only. So user joined, the same value that we used there, and just create a function. This is just the callback function which you write, and console.log that okay, uh, so the data which is getting is this, right? Socket equals to socket.username. So here we'll just do data.username. So this way, what is happening? User has joined, and now we are informing to the client that okay, we have got this information. So I'll just open the, sorry, yeah, this is the console. I'm refreshing it. Mi, enter. Okay, we are getting it, but it is not going at the front. Let's just debug it once. Oh yeah, because we have used broadcast.emit, this user does not get it. That's why. Let's just do io.emit and it will get it. See, mi is here. So two ways to do it. Either you do io.emit will emit to everyone, or if you do socket.broadcast.emit will emit to other users. So if you want to test this, just create a new tab, go there, and instead of mis, sorry, yeah, yeah, it goes here also. right? So this is how you work with sockets. Okay, now our okay, we have got this here now, but there's nothing happening after we set the username, right? So let's just write this function quickly. We have got the username. The username is also emitting to the backend. So this is the login page, right? So we want to remove that login page and show this chat page. So using simple jQuery terms, so we'll have login page dot just fade out. I am hoping this is the function, and chat page dot show. So these are the two things that we are doing right now. Let's just test off once. Mi. Yeah, so this works, right? And mi. Okay, I need to reload it. Okay, so it's working as we want it to be. Okay, so users are joining. Now if we write a chat, nothing is happening as such. The messages are not going. So we'll just do that also in a while. So yeah, this is what is happening and what we wanted it to happen. But we are not getting the message that we want, that okay, user has joined. So here in the where user has joined, we'll just log the message. So log that data dot username has joined. So joined. The log function is actually adding it to the DOM, the DOM object which we have. So let's just try again, and I am hoping this should work. So mi has joined, or let's say mis. So mis has joined. Right. This is a basic chat functionality which we want and is there. Now our main aim is to send messages as such, right? So again, I'm just removing this logs because it's pretty annoying to have logs here. You can keep it if you want. If you are fine with it, you can keep it as such. Okay. So this is done. Okay. Now message. So this is the send message function which is getting sent, which is getting called from here, the keyboard input, that if the username is already there, then just use the send message. So we'll write the send message function. So again, the same thing, just get the value of the message. So message should be equal to, how do we get the message? Input message is the, what do you call, the object that we want, the element that we want. So input message dot value, we get the value from it. Again, we do not want to send the blank message, so I'll just write a if condition. If there's a message, then you add the message. So I'll just do same thing, socket.emit. I want to emit it to everyone. So I'm just writing a new message as the, this could be anything what you want. Whatever came here should be same behind. So I'm writing to the backend that okay, this is what I'm getting. So I'll just have to write here that socket.on. I am waiting for new message event. I got this event. So yeah, this is the data that we want, and console.log data. So let's just, sorry, the server went off. Okay, it is crashing for some reason. Unhandled event. Just, is there anything wrong? Is anyone able to figure out anything wrong here? If there's a message, just emit the message. Everything seems fine to me. 1 second. Okay. Oh, address is in use. Oh, this is a problem with sockets that. 1 second. I'm just changing the port number so as to not have this problem. Sorry for that. is still having some error. 1 second. Error event on server instance. Address is already in use. Why does it have the address already in use? Is there anything? Interesting. Does anyone know how to kill in unhandle error event address already in use? Pretty interesting. Why did this happen? I'll just restart Visual Studio Code. 1 second. Oh, it does work. I'm not sure why this happens, but yeah. Okay, we have our chat app here. It is 4,000 here, but it's actually 4. Sorry. Yeah, so it's listening on 4. Extremely sorry. So yeah, we have the user here, and let's say we are emitting hello here. So yeah, we are getting the value of now got the message, but we want to emit this message to everyone. So again, same thing, broadcast dot emit, and our value we can keep it as same, that new message is the event that we want, and we are emitting two things now with the username. We have the socket dot username and the data which we have got. So the reason why we are sending the username is also because we want to know which is the user who has sent this message. That is why we want that. So in the front end, in the base first, the side, we can just do socket.on. Whenever we get a new message, same value that was used there, we have to add the message. So let's just do console.log data first to know that, okay, whether our data is reaching here or not. So I'll just open the console. Oh, and the chat. Wow. Okay. I'll have to do a IU emit to for the user to everyone to know. So yeah, I get the username mi and message as mi as shown here, if you can see it here properly. Right. So now our simple aim is that this message should get added in the front end. So we have the function which is called add chat message. So add chat message takes two things, username and message body, data.username data. So we just need to call this function, and that's simply how we'll do it. So add chat message. What all do we want? Just the data. So this should be it on building the chat application. So I put it here. Hello. Yeah, it goes there. I'll just create a new user also. Let's say I'll create IE NITK. I think that's what is here because of. So hello. Yeah, we get the message here. Great. Okay, this message is not going not going after we enter the value. So let's just clean it off so that it becomes easier for us. So send message. Whenever the message is sent, let's just do a dollar input message dot val and make it null. right? So that it becomes easier. Yeah, it goes. Okay. So this is what we do, and mi joined, and it showed the value here. So one thing, if you noticed here, is that we did io.emit. Now io.emit emits to everyone. But if you see how WhatsApp works, when we first send the message, it first reaches us and then it goes to other users, right? The reason is because we cannot wait for the socket to send the message. Although it's very fast, when lot of users are and lot of data is there, it will create a problem. So let's just do a add chat message here also itself, so that we get the message instantaneously. So we do it username. It might take some delay to send it to the other users, but we'll just send it here only first. And then you do whatever you want to do there, right? So yeah, we do it here. And okay, but a small problem is showing us twice. So that is because we have done io.emit. So instead I'll just do socket.broadcast.emit. That way it won't send it twice. Yeah, so it sends only one, and wow, hello, this is the chat app, right? So this is what the basic chat app, the minimal thing that we were planning to cover in this thing. Does anyone have any doubts on how sockets work or how actually it should be done? If yes, please ask on the doubt session and I'll just clarify it. But yeah, this was the whole process on how we created or used sockets to leverage our whole application to make use of sockets as such in general. Okay, if there are any doubts, just put in the chat box and I'll be happy to answer. If there are not, certain assignments or certain more functionalities which can be added is you can add the user typing functionality. So we have to find out the event when he is typing and he or she is typing, and then go on the server and show a chat box that okay, this user is typing. We could have a number of users in the room functionality. How many people are there in this particular room? Like how many of them have joined? That could be done. Also user left functionality, like if some user leaves, we can show it to them that this is how you can do it. So yeah, this was the basic plan on how to create this application. If there are any doubts, just ask off. Just go ahead. If there are any doubts, I'll just come back to the doubt again. Yeah, the session is, I think, almost done. The source code will be made available on the IE NITK GitHub page. I'll just push all the code there and get it to you. Will also be updated in this video description if anyone wants it. So yeah, that is all which I had to cover today and what I was planning. If there are still any doubts or if you want me to implement anything or show you anything, just put it here. Otherwise, we'll just call the session off. Yeah, if anyone wants to contact me, the my website ID is there mentioned. You can contact me on any social media or any way you want. I'll be happy to answer any doubts that you have. I'll be online for 2 more minutes. After that, I'll just put the session off. So, yeah, All right. Uh, I guess that is all. Thank you everyone for joining and stay safe. If you have any doubts, please do contact me. Bye bye.